Hell yeah!
Hey, what's going on guys? I'm Brett Madigan and welcome back to Mad Again. Now, I took it upon myself to try and engine swap my Subaru Outback 2007 with a Subaru Liberty EZ30 engine, which is a 6-cylinder. Let's have a quick look at the donor car. This is a Subaru Liberty EZ30 3-litre with a 5-speed auto transmission. Obviously not manual, non-turbo, and I don't exactly know what type of trim it had, and it probably could have been salvageable, but I bought this sight unseen off the internet for $1,500 with the intention to do this engine swap on my Outback. Yeah, I probably could have salvaged it and sold the electric seats and what have you, or repaired it, but that wasn't my intention. Looking back, I probably would have made more money doing that. Anyway, essentially my goal is to get the engine out, get the transmission out, the driveline, which unfortunately, because it's a sedan, I can't use the tail shaft, unfortunately. But the rear diff I should be able to use. I think, well, 2 of the CVs are completely shafted. Pun intended. The right rear basically is stuck in a hub at the moment. That's probably going to stay there when it meets its demise. There are aftermarket struts in here, but I got no other struts to replace it with, so I gotta kind of leave them, which is a bit of a bummer. It's weird that I drove that car 2 days ago. Still weirds me out, because look at this. Oh yeah, bro, don't worry, it's not a write-off. And that dent was way worse before my mate kicked it in. It's kind of cool. It's got a sunroof. People like that shit. I hate them. Yeah, there's all the wiring. Well, most of it. Struggling to get this HVAC unit thing out. Most of the wiring on the driver's side is almost out. But yeah, that's where I'm at the minute. I gotta rebuild the right rear, obviously, so it can roll out of here. But yeah, engine's out. So here's a close look of the aftermath of getting the engine out. There's a few bits and pieces I wasn't able to keep, like the AC compressor and stuff. I just can't remove the gas at home safely, and I wasn't going to pay a guy to remove it for me and then not put it back into a different car. So like the HVAC unit or power steering rack, those are things that I could have actually used. Oh well. Now to the scrappies. Alright, let's take this EJ253 out of the Outback. Until my camera dies. So here's a photo of the EJ253 and transmission all out at once. So here's the main ingredient to this engine swap. The EZ30 and 5-speed auto transmission. Now, ideally I'd want a 6-speed manual, you know, but they're pricey. I don't want to get into that in this video, but for now, let's see if we can get the 5-speed auto and the engine working in my Outback. The internet decides to tell you that Subarus are Lego. They're clearly fucking not. Putting a 5-speed auto in a 4-speed auto chassis does not work. So where the transmission is located, it was about here. So not knowing that the mounts were completely different. Basically I spent an entire weekend dismantling my entire car to then realize that it's not going to fit. I would have thought that they would have mounted the transmission, you know, here or something like that versus back here. If it was mounted here, then that would have been fine. It would have just cleared perfectly. But no, it mounts right there. I wasn't aware that Subaru would spend millions upon millions of dollars to completely redesign a transmission tunnel within the same generation of vehicle, which meant I thought that I wasted too much time putting in the 5-speed, bolting it up to then realize that it's not going to work, but that's not the case either. Oh, great. Yeah, well, that's what happens when you leave your disc rotor out in the fucking rain. So I'm going to explain this hopefully less convoluted than what I explained in the video, putting in the 5-speed didn't work. So I took out the 5-speed, put in the 4-speed, bolted it up. It all worked good, right? But when I went to plug it in, found out that the 5-speed auto loom is different to the 4-speed auto transmission plug. So I thought, okay, I'll just contact an auto electrician and see if they can make me a patch cable. Turns out no one wanted to do that. Apparently it's just too difficult, or they just don't like money. I don't know. I honestly have no idea why no one wants to touch anything that I do with Subaru, but it's actually frustrating, dude. So anyway, let's get this 4-speed auto back out. If we go under the car, you'll see that now I have the 5-speed transmission hooked up. Well, it's bolted to the engine, but as you can see, it kind of goes back a little bit too far. Interferes with the bottom of the 5-speed auto transmission, as well as, you know, this exhaust hanger here. So if I remove the exhaust hanger, there is a little bit more room, but like I said, it's still going to interfere with the transmission. So I have to get a mount or bracket made up, which is what I'm going to try and do today, maybe tomorrow, just to sort of gauge where the transmission's going to sit. You know, this thing has kept me up at night that many times, where, you know, like everything's in there, but it's just not starting. And I'll show you guys exactly what I went through, and I didn't record a lot of it because I didn't know whether or not this would actually work. I'm getting there. It's a very slow process, and this guy that's coming tomorrow is also able to weld up a transmission bracket. So I'm going to attempt to take out all of this wiring and then put the EZ30 wiring in. So I'm up to basically zip tying the right side loom onto the body. Yeah, that's where I'm at. Gonna do that right now and do the other side and zip tie most of the loom inside the car. It's not looking fun at the minute, but I managed to find a cheap EZ30 Liberty rear loom just to see if I could shift out a gear, and the fuel pump worked fine because I ended up getting the controller from the same guy. So thanks, mate. If you ever watch this, probably not. So yeah, this loom hooked up. The fuel pump works as it should. So when you start the car or put it in the on position, it primes for a couple of seconds and then it turns off. That's the behavior that I was looking for, rather than it constantly being on. So I'm hoping that I can still use the existing EJ wiring and sort of maybe get the wiring for the fuel pump controller to the fuel pump. Maybe just get that wiring out of this harness. But I don't want to strip my entire car just to get this wiring loom in and extend it. I thought about it, but I don't think it's worth it. That being said, if all the wiring fits and I don't have to change anything, then it should just be start it, turn the key and start it, and it should go. Also got a Why did I spend so much time trying to get the original Outback loom working? Because I didn't want to remove my entire rear trim and most of the carpet just to get that wiring out. I didn't want to replace it at the time, and thought, oh, it would be easier if I got an auto electrician to come out and, you know, kajigger the original Outback wiring to support the included EZ30 fuel pump controller. I know now it was definitely not easier, so I thought I may as well try and get power to the fuel pump before the guy arrives, just so I can prove that it does run. And this is what happened. Since I've fixed that connection over there, I do get power to the fuel pump.
Like, I almost cried when this actually worked. When I heard that fuel pump, I almost cried. That's no bullshit. So if we look over here, the only problem I get at the moment is the fuel pump. I don't know if you can hear that. Doesn't actually stop. So I'm not sure if that's because there's no O2 sensors hooked up and that, you know, it doesn't know anything, but... Yeah, baby. Fucking loud. But it idles. It fucking idles. Woo! Hell yeah. Oh, it smells. Oh, Jesus, that's loud. Oh. But yeah, it works. So I've cut the transmission bracket up. I've cut back without losing too much or like getting it too close to the bolts, because that would not be fun. But basically the bracket needs to come out and over. So that's where this comes in. So that goes there. It'll be annoying, but I don't care. It's not my problem. This guy that's coming over to fix it tomorrow, it's his problem. But yeah, so up here, there was a broken vehicle speed sensor, which I managed to fix. I don't know if you can actually see that. The wiring has all tape all over it, and the sensor there is different. I took that from the 4-speed auto. So, one quite annoying thing about getting someone else to fiddle with your car and in the process wire something up, yeah, he decided to feed his own wiring underneath the, I'm assuming that's the rear squirter thing, the hose for that. I shouldn't have to figure that out. All wiring should be above or below everything. In this case, the wiring loom goes above that hose, so you should also put your wiring above. So you don't run into this bullshit where this is a massive loop which goes underneath this hose. Don't worry about that, that's my audio wiring. So I'll cut that and solder it. That's not the problem. The problem is I have to do the exact same thing to something I paid for, you know? Anyway, I just found there's a blue-black wire as well as a power wire on this massive redundant fucking ground. So there's the ground. I'm assuming that's his ground to the fuel pump. And then there's a power wire that's snipped off and not connected to anything. Thanks, guy. Obviously this is now redundant because I'm doing this, but it still pisses me off that I paid someone to do a job and, you know, it's not all hooked up together. Anyway, I'll get over it. So I've taken the original Outback rear loom out, and I've found some water underneath the passenger side. So I'm not too sure where that's coming from. I mean, I hope it's water. Okay, so now I gotta sort of tie this loom back to where it's kind of supposed to be, because at the moment it's just sort of chilling there, not harnessed in, I guess. So yeah, I'm gonna do that. Fix the position on where the harness is, so that will get sort of screwed in, kind of. I don't know, it uses like some weird plastic screwy knobby bit, which is in here somewhere. I know that the carpet's never going to go back in correctly, so I'm fully aware of that, but I do need to get a new carpet because the driver's side, for whatever reason, on on the left side of the footwell is sort of ripped. I didn't notice that until I pulled the carpet up. But for now, I'm going to replace the whatever the hell that box thing is and see if I have AC. So plenty to do. It is like 32 degrees right now. So I'm really not looking forward to doing any of this, to be completely honest with you. But I do want to see if I have AC, so I will swap over that module, see if I have AC controls, and happy days if I do.
First drive, goes backwards. Doesn't sound good, but goes forward and backwards. Time to drive it. Now obviously I'm not going to send it when I'm doing the first drive, but overall it sounds pretty good. I've driven it for about 5 to 10 minutes. Haven't had any issues yet, but obviously I'll keep driving and see what happens. But just realized that my steering wheel isn't straight, so it needs a wheel alignment. That's because I've changed control arms and done all sorts of stuff since the engine swap. So that's to be expected, obviously. But yeah, sounds pretty good. Don't really know what else to say besides that's a successful EZ30 swap when people on the Subaru groups didn't think that it would be worth it. Bro, just driving this car for the last 10 minutes, the power increase from the 2.5 to the 3 litre is very noticeable, and I'm looking forward to what's to come with this car. I haven't really thought about much besides eventually putting the forced induction. However, I want to see if the car actually performs nicely and doesn't have issues. So yeah, we'll put it through its paces and see what happens, I suppose. Yeah, thank you guys for watching. My name is Brett Madigan. See you next time.